It's time to return to Kingdom Hearts with the second game in the series, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, as well as Chain of Memories for the PlayStation 2, which is also on the 1.5 collection, so it's everywhere. For this video, I played through both versions, which I'll be jumping between, all to break down what works and what doesn't for each. We'll start with Sora's campaign and move on to Riku's Reverse Rebirth. Sad to say we won't be getting to the third mode, the GBA's multiplayer. This looks really fun, and I'm still holding out hope to this day that I'll run into somebody else who also has this game, and a Game Boy Advance, and a link cable, and the will to play with me. So just before we press start and reunite with our Disney friends, let's level set. Why is Nomura making me buy a Game Boy to see this story continue? It's no secret that there was a massive amount of anticipation for the next console release game, that game being Kingdom Hearts 2, which had already been largely conceptualized even before the release of KH1. Nomura's plan was to have a year gap in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. What exactly was going to happen during that year? Well, that's where the idea for Chain of Memories was born. It would serve as a bridge in between the two, leading to a more scaled down story. That, in combination with a desire from the fans to play Kingdom Hearts on Game Boy, led to this cartridge right here. And scaled down story, sure, but this is not a spin-off. This is still required reading for Kingdom Hearts 2, unbeknownst to a lot of people in 2004. So what's the deal with this Chain of Memories? Well, this was a complete 3D remake of the GBA game on the PS2 that was included in a Japan-exclusive bundle alongside Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, released in March 2007, and later released as a standalone title in North America in late 2008. And that's right, I said PS2, not PS3. This thing just wouldn't die. Like I said at the start, it also released on the 1.5 Remix collection, probably how most people play it nowadays. But yeah, it's essentially a big 3D overhaul of the game. You got full 3D environments, cutscenes are animated with the non-Disney World ones being fully voiced, well, most of them. The script has been tweaked here and there, and the foundation for the gameplay is largely all still in place with a lot of quality of life updates, which I'm happy to say are really well considered. Grinding has been substantially reduced, and you know, it's amazing how much better this game feels when you have more than 4 buttons. And all this isn't to say that the GBA is just inherently worse. For starters, its art style is exquisite. You get to see the Kingdom Hearts 1 assets interpreted into beautiful 32-bit sprites. There are a few that look like they just got Donkey Kong Country'd, like Oogie Boogie here, but for the most part, these are just a delight to look at. They're stylish on their own, but also in line with KH1. Compare that to Recom, which just reuses PS2 assets from KH1 and KH2, which is fine. The story does call for it, we'll get into it soon, but especially if you're coming off one of those games, it does make the experience feel a little bit more bargain binny. The Disney worlds here are just the epitome of that. It's just old models pasted into existing environments using stock animations. To make up for this, you have all the manpower being put on the non-Disney World scenes.
Don't mock me!
If you're in the middle of which version to play, I'd recommend Recom unless you really want that authentic GBA experience. But I also think they're different enough from each other to warrant a playthrough of each. You got time, it's not like there's Kingdom Hearts games coming out every year. So we pick up right where we left off, following Pluto, who has a letter from the king, which hopefully contains some information about the whereabouts of him and Riku. Having stopped for the night, Sora awakens to a familiar-looking robe of a man.
Along the road ahead lies something you need. However, in order to claim it, you must lose something that is dear to you.
Very ominous, very on brand. This is the Kingdom Hearts we know. Nomura is on record saying that this whole opening sequence was inspired by an old American blues legend, that of Robert Johnson, a folk story about a guitarist who makes a deal with the devil at a crossroads. Which, would you look at that, there's a crossroads. Might be hard to see if you're playing on GBA. It's extra crunchy. But yeah, that's a very specific area to draw from. While the deal with the devil part is pretty telling, my interest really gets piqued at the choice of setting here, at a crossroads. There's a lot of symbolic weight around Crossroads. One is said to be at a crossroads in life when making a big decision. Opportunity versus danger. Being in between. Gaining something, but also having to give something up. We then cut to someone in a white room drawing a castle, which seems to manifest at the end of Sora's chosen path. Seeing these little pre-rendered videos play on a Game Boy is still just so impressive. Our party enters and quickly discover they all share this strange feeling that Riku and the King are here. And that includes Jiminy. Yeah, he gets a real promotion in this game. A lot of screen time. Almost treated as an equal.
Yep, I had it too. I had the exact same feeling.
He's still just our chronicler, chilling in our pocket or wherever he goes.
Hey fellers, shouldn't we shut the door behind us before we go? Sora!
Old Blackcoat shuts the door behind us and soon thereafter drops a bombshell.
Fire! Come on! Blizzard! Fire! Why isn't it working?
I should think it's obvious. The moment you set foot in this castle, you forgot every spell and every ability you ever knew.
I've been bamboozled!
In this place, to find is to lose, and to lose is to find. That is the way in Castle Oblivion.
That's right, it's back to level 1. No more Ars Arcanum, Sonic Blade, High Jump, Super Glide. Our boys get duped into entering this Castle Oblivion, and it's a fun excuse to put everybody back at the start.
Here you will meet people that you have known in the past, and you will meet people you miss.
I miss? Riku! You mean Riku's here?
So, elephant in the room, if you're playing Recom, it's very obvious that Haley Joel Osment, who voices Sora, has grown up.
The horrible voice acting of child robot Haley Joel Osment.
But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
Pretty soon, you guys will get to hear what Haley's voice sounds like after puberty.
Me too. One look at this castle, and I just knew.
Media personalities did not pull any punches back then. Children were on the table. But different strokes for different folks. I personally thought Haley Joel Osment did a great job in Kingdom Hearts 1, and same here in Recom. Now, timeline-wise, no, his voice isn't supposed to be this deep. It was just a consequence they accepted when choosing to record this game 5+ years later after the original. On the GBA side, you have little voice clips that were just ripped directly from KH1, so if it bothers you that much, you can always play that one. Back to the matter at hand, Mystery Man here phases through us, claiming to have sampled our memories, and then throws us this crown card, super anime style.
Hold the card to open the door, and beyond it a new world.
Do as he says, and we find ourselves in Traverse Town. But it's not. We're quickly informed that we're still in Castle Oblivion. This Traverse Town is an imitation created from Sora's memories of the real one. Oh yeah, and Donald and Goofy have been turned into playing cards. Not Jiminy though. I told you, this is his game. What follows is an introduction to the new combat system, which we'll get into very soon, but I did want to pause quickly and just commend the game for how unsettling this moment feels, while also working within the confines of the Game Boy Advance. Castle Oblivion, this fake Traverse Town, they're hollow. You are, for the most part, completely alone in battle. Progressing through Traverse Town and these other worlds we'll get to soon, the layouts don't match the original places they're based off of. They're dynamic, almost dreamlike, and tying them all together is Castle Oblivion, a structure where the interior is devoid of color, something even its Blackcoat inhabitants lack. The decor here is almost primarily made up of these statue-like flowers. Flowers, something closely associated with nature, but Here they're framed as a blank imitation. It all comes together to create an eerie and foreboding atmosphere, which is enhanced by the music track backing it. This track in particular, I just find the GBA's interpretation of church bells to be absolutely chilling. While Recom offers a nicely remastered soundtrack, I think some of the Silent Hill-ness is lost in tracks like this. Composing these is the returning Yoko Shimomura, and while there is a lot of reused tracks, there's also plenty of new ones, some of which would go on to be the most recognized in the series. So back at not Traverse Town, Mystery Man states that everything in Castle Oblivion is ruled by cards. Attacking, healing, moving through rooms, Donald casting Thundara on the Lightning Lady, all cards. The combat and exploration still have a large emphasis on real-time action, but it's obvious the Final Fantasy turn-based and strategic roots have influenced the final product heavily. It's just a shame that those roots can't influence actual Final Fantasy games anymore, but I digress. In Chain of Memories, you don't openly attack enemies on the field anymore. It's Super Mario RPG or Chrono Trigger rules. You collide with an enemy, you enter a battle instance. You can do things on the map preemptively to prepare, like smacking the Heartless or throwing a box in their face. Speaking of, I alluded to them a bit earlier, but the maps you're exploring, they are dynamic. You, the player, are creating them as you go. It's less exciting than it sounds, but I still think it's pretty cool. Each world is still a set of predefined rooms on a grid, but to proceed through them, you must use one of these map cards, which is assigned a numeric value, a color, and an effect. The one chosen determines the parameters of the new one. This is going to be things like room size, how many Heartless are in there, if any at all. Calm Bounty makes a small room with a treasure chest and no Heartless. Bottomless Darkness, which is unique to Recom, makes just a large, pure black room that only contains Shadow Heartless. The actual layouts of each room are all fairly static. Some are going to change between worlds, so there's no procedural generation going on here. It's loosely similar to Chalice Dungeons in Bloodborne, except much better. Things can certainly get monotonous as you're just seeing the same assets to remix 10 different times, but the beauty of this system to me is that you are the creator of this world. You are God. If you want to see every single room in Traverse Town be a save point, you can sure as hell make that happen. Probably not the best choice because these map cards are won from battles, which you need Heartless in the room for. It's all a very nicely balanced ecosystem that's fun to play with and gives you something else to chew on outside of just fighting the Heartless. Speaking of which, the combat of Chain of Memories has been and always will be its most controversial element. A single swing of the Keyblade is not free like it was before. Casting Thundaga or summoning Simba does not cost MP. All of your combat actions, save for jump and dodge roll, you activate by playing a card from your preset deck. Even items like High Potion and Ethers follow these rules. And like the map cards, they're assigned a numeric value, 0 to 9. You and the opposition are essentially playing a more convoluted version of the card game War. You don't take turns, either party can play cards at will, as long as you're not getting juggled to death, but only one card can be active at a time, which they're only active for the duration of that ability's animation. The twist is that an active card can be interrupted or overwritten if the other party plays a card of equal or higher value respectively. This is called a card break. 0 cards are special as they break any card, but can be broken by any card higher than the 0. And when you run out of cards, you can reload by holding A or X on the top of the deck here. But be warned, reload time increases the more you use this. You are also allowed to stock your cards, or play up to 3 at once. This results in the actions being executed sequentially under the sum of those cards. Stocking is done in Recom by the triangle button, GBA by pressing L and R simultaneously. This just isn't comfortable to do, especially coming off of Recom, and if you're playing on real hardware, prepare to be going hog wild on those little L and R nubs. You also can't cancel a pending stock of cards on the GBA like you can in Recom, you just don't have enough buttons on this thing to do so. Not the end of the world, you just need to be a little bit more mindful on GBA, because the main drawback of stocking is that when one is played, you lose the first card of that stock for the rest of the battle. And don't think you can cheat it with those temporary Donald, Goofy, or other Amiibo character cards. These appear randomly on the field and you can use them in that specific battle, but if they're the first card in your set, the next permanent card will be sacrificed. Reloading will not bring it back. Only certain item cards and other special cards we'll talk about later can do so. Stocking also ties into how special abilities called slights are achieved. If your stocked cards match the parameters of the slight, you execute the ability. For example, play a stop card followed by 2 attack cards and you get Lethal Frame. These are the basic rules, and Traverse Town is here to get your feet wet. You have a lot of freedom in how you build your deck, how you execute on that deck. The game starts you off with a pretty generous growing period, but that difficulty curve will keep ramping up until it throws you in the deep end, and that goes for both versions. You need to learn a handful of slights, learn how you like your deck ordered, and most importantly, experiment. I think that's where a lot of people hit a brick wall with this game. They throw themselves at the same boss again and again with the same setup, use those other deck slots. By the end of all of my games, I had one for enemies, one for bosses, and one for experimentation. Now, you can't just put all your best cards in your deck. You do have to keep it under this card points limit, which you can raise by leveling up, which you should totally do. And you should watch out for premium versions of cards which have a lower CP cost. We will continue to touch on more technical combat stuff, but I think that's a good place to leave it for now. You probably noticed we're not the only ones in these memory worlds. There's plenty of memory heartless to murder, as well as Leon and crew here.
Good luck, Sora. We may never meet again, but we'll never forget each other.
They seem to have no recollection of our Kingdom Hearts 1 adventure despite knowing the names of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. We play out the usual charade and ask them if they've seen our friends, which of course they haven't, they're just figments of Sora's memory. Sora, very candidly, keeps on bringing up Castle Oblivion and everything he's just been through. Leon and them are all like, something's going on, but I can't be bothered to think about it. The darker truth is acknowledged by, quite fittingly, Aerith. It's this really unsettling scene where after the group leaves, Aerith comes back and basically comes to the conclusion that she isn't real. Sora turns his back for a second and she's gone. This scene isn't flashy, it's not even voiced, but it's one of my favorites in the game. It meshes so well with the already disconcerting vibe. It's a great start to these memory worlds, which admittedly are about to take a nosedive. But before that, we arrive back at the white halls of Castle Oblivion, where Mystery Man introduces us to his red-haired friend.
Who am I? Oh, my name's Axel. Got it memorized?
Sure.
Oh, hey, it's Quentin Flynn, who voices somebody who looks like this in a game series that looks like this. Are we not allowed to say the word cult in Kingdom Hearts because all these black robes? I mean, that is what this is. Organization sounds more capitalist and less threatening, but it should be Red Flag City for our trio now that we're seeing more of these guys. Axel initiates a fight that's covered by the excuse of wanting to see if Sora is ready for the rest of Castle Oblivion. This is the first boss fight where you're fighting somebody who has a finite deck of cards just like you. Axel plays his own slights and reloads when necessary. Because of this, you can play boss fights as conservatively as you want. Fill your deck with zeros, do not stock cards, and win card breaks. After some time, the enemy's recharge time goes up and their deck whittles down. Or on the other side of the fence, you can just line your own deck up with a bunch of slights and go nuts on them. This kind of decision making in boss fights is where the combat is at its most compelling for me. We're still just fighting Axel's AI, but the ultimate result of the fight feels more substantial when I know both him and I are fighting under the same rulebook.
Give me a break.
Afterwards, he scurries off, but not before dropping some lines on us.
Trust what you remember and seek what you forget. Then you will find someone very special.
He alludes to the fact that this someone very special might not be Riku the King, right after he gives us a brand new set of world cards. And when you look at that, they're all KH1 worlds. You got Wonderland, Monstro, Halloween Town, Agrabah, and Olympus Coliseum. You do get the rest later, but noticeably missing is Deep Jungle. Sorry to the Tarzan fans, if you were hoping to have a 32-bit Clayton plus stealth sneak fight, it's not here. This is probably because Disney didn't want to pony up to the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate this time around. So how this works is you pick a card, and then that card's world becomes permanently assigned to that floor in Castle Oblivion. Our goal is to knock all these out and reach the top. and your chosen world order does matter to an extent. The general rule of thumb is that difficulty increases the higher the floor, which is going to bump certain things up like boss HP, the amount of enemies seen in encounters, and I believe the amount of rooms in that world. Here, my floor 2 Monstro had 9 rooms, while my floor 6 Halloween Town had 13. Additionally, some specific worlds hold the trigger to unlock certain cards and abilities. For example, you won't start seeing stop cards until you open a chest in Wonderland containing stop. It's only after that will they start appearing in shops. Or if you're playing Recom, you might want to pick Monstro first because you can get the permanent ability High Jump there. Same goes for Glide and even Super Glide later.
My body is ready.
So, as you might imagine, I had wildly different orders between my Recom and GBA playthroughs. But what are you actually doing in these memory Disney worlds? Well, it's what we did in Traverse Town. Except this time, Sora knows not to send the denizens into an existential crisis. Unlock 3 rooms with these story progression cards, have an arbitrary adventure with Aladdin, and then fight a boss. And I cannot emphasize the word arbitrary enough. By no means are we going to go through every single Disney world. That would be ridiculous. These are very loose retellings of that world's KH1 story, which a lot of the time was an already watered down version of that Disney movie story. Some of the worlds make an effort to tie in the subject matter of memories. The Queen of Hearts in Wonderland puts Alice on trial for stealing her memory. Cloud in the Olympus Coliseum needs to get his memory back, and he has made a deal with Hades to do so. Which, was that already the plot in Kingdom Hearts 1? Oh no, he was looking for Tifa or Aerith, I don't know. But then you have worlds like Monstro, which just retread the whole we need to get out of the whale plot, which, I mean, to be fair, what else are you gonna do there? Then you have worlds like Agrabah, which just have the laziest retelling I've ever seen. We gotta find Jasmine, Jafar takes the lamp, all of this takes place in Agrabah Market, by the way. And then, all of a sudden, Genie Jafar. How did we get here? The Cave of Wonders, where this fight takes place? I am being a little pedantic because all of this can be explained by, oh, it's a magical memory world, anything can happen. But that just makes me feel so much more disconnected from them. Kingdom Hearts 1, we had the keyholes and Maleficent to kind of tie these all together. Here, I just feel like I'm wasting my time reading these dialogue boxes. Take a shot for every time they do that ellipses talk bubble animation, you'd be dead by the end of the game. The events that unfold in between the floors of Castle Oblivion are a little bit more juicy. The group notices that the higher they go, the more they are forgetting about their past adventures. And to make things worse, they discover that Jiminy's journal recounting those adventures is now completely blank. Makes you wonder if he was actually ever doing anything. But the biggest mystery is this blonde girl in a white dress Sora keeps seeing. But not just seeing, remembering.
She was quiet and always drawing. When we'd go to the beach, she'd draw a picture instead of swimming. Sometimes she'd draw us too. She was really good. I remember Riku and I fighting over who she'd draw next. But one day, she was gone, just like that. I think the grown-ups knew the reason. They might even have tried to explain some of it to me. But I was little. I probably didn't understand what was happening.
It's told in a way where it's relatable enough to where you almost believe it. I think the first time I played it, I kinda did. Why couldn't there have been another girl on the island? The higher in the castle we get, the more Sora remembers about her, and the more black coat wearing organization members we meet. They seem to know just a little bit too much about Sora.
It seems that you're still forgetting the most important thing here. When that poor girl hears that you've forgotten her name, why, it'll break her heart.
Poor girl. Do you know her?
Sora is still supposed to be a child here, right? And feel free to disagree, but I think in the GBA, he comes off as more naive, where in Rechain, maybe it's the voice acting, the animation, but it feels like Sora should be smarter than this. Now, so far it has been implied that there are other forces at work, but on the other hand, it's like, really, are we falling for this? Don't you think it's weird that you are all of a sudden remembering this girl in this creepy castle where your memories are going away, all these black robe people are encouraging you to remember her?
Nah. Meh.
Sora, you're getting it now. Release the memory from within your heart.
Namine.
Not only does Sora remember Namine, but it seems the memory of Kairi is being replaced by Namine. This is represented by Kairi's good luck charm changing appearance.
Is that thing mine?
What a shame! You've been wearing it all this time and forgot?
A lot of the recom cutscenes fall into that anime trope of being really unsubtle. This character, Larxene, being a principal example.
I'm a bad guy, so you have to go through me.
How embarrassing.
Is she giving Sora the bird here? I think it's a side effect of translating most of a GBA script into a voiced script. A script that already had to go through localization. What rhymes with localization?
We need him if we're going to take over the organization.
I know that you're in on it too.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot more members to this little cult, and some of them are staging a coup which involves Sora. And while at first Axel seems to be in on it, he also seems to have plans of his own. It's compelling enough to make me look forward to the next floor each time.
It'd serve you right if I decided to smash this piece of junk.
Back with Larxene, she coaxes Sora into fighting. Story and reasons aside, these fights are the best. And at this point you will have completed your first at a Disney World, so you probably have a nice little collection of cards. And while the base number on your Keyblade cards is important, hopefully you've been able to find and expend the points on some different ones. Whether that be from these Moogle shops you can create, or just smacking the scenery, which you should be doing all the time. These Olympia cards are probably going to hit harder than your Kingdom Key cards, and I'm not just saying probably to be facetious. A Keyblade card will do different damage depending on when it's executed in the 3-piece combo. There's no combo plus or any of that in this game, it's just boom 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 all the way to the end. There's 3 attributes, strike, thrust, and finish, each tied to a hit respectively. For example, you have Metal Chocobo, which is really good for finishing combos with a B+, but not so good at starting them with a strike stat of a C+. There's also Swing Speed, which is swing speed. Element can tie a certain magic affinity into an attack, and Recovery, which is how quickly Sora can act again after that specific card of his is broken. So, how do you see this information? Well, you follow this link and read Unknown Kid's guide on it, because these stats are mostly hidden as far as the game is concerned. It does show you recovery and a general attack stat, but yeah, 95% of people aren't gonna know that where the Keyblade is in the combo makes a difference. I didn't know until after my playthroughs. I was more concerned with the base numeric value tied to my cards, primarily because of sleights. I think sleights are just way more fun to use. I think most people would agree with that. Maybe in my next playthrough I'll focus on this more, but probably not, because it sounds like a ton of work to order all these. It's also super lame that Sora only swings the Kingdom Key in this game. Okay, moving on. There is one more card type we haven't touched on, and that is because it is just starting to become relevant. That is enemy cards. These are like the Monopoly chance cards of Chain of Memories. They're dropped by bosses and normal Heartless, sometimes in place of a room card. Add them to your deck, press select to access them, play them, and they do something. They range from modifying your card values, like the Shadow card here, it increments all your cards by 1, to the Oogie Boogie card, which casts Regen on Sora. Now again, these cost valuable card points to even put in your deck, points which already need to be allocated to Keyblade cards, cure, items. I'm only going to recommend one, and you should already have it by now. It's Genie Jafar, everybody, with Attack Bracer. This card is reliable, been using them for 20 plus years, never let you down. When played, Sora's next 20 attack cards cannot be broken. It's fantastic for bosses who are just throwing big ol' slights at you non-stop. It gives you a ton of breathing room. A certified hood classic, and here is Larxene just throwing cards away into my Attack Bracer. Lovely. And take notice that she has an enemy card active as well. I love the even playing field. We beat her, she too scurries off, but not before giving us some more world cards. Also, Sora gets angry.
Ta-ta!
Wait, Larxene! I hate this. Why'd I need someone like that to bring back Namine's memory?
we continue to trudge on to floor 7. It's the same old song and dance with these 4 cards, except for the 100-acre wood. GBA, you literally just walk poo across a field and you're done. Recom's a bit more involved, with several more KH1-inspired minigames. Most people just save this world for last to make the others easier. Something I should have done in my Recom playthrough, but I was trying to abide by the usual order I do worlds in KH1. Not a huge deal though. Starting at floor 7 on GBA, you also gain access to Room of Rewards cards. Now you can only hold one at a time, but they're used to unlock these gold gate rooms that you've probably seen in earlier worlds. These usually contain really good cards or slights. Now, if you're playing Rechain, getting the actual Room of Rewards unlock card is going to differ depending on your version. Japanese PS2 have a completed save file of KH2 Final Mix on your memory card. North American PS2 have a completed save file of this game, both Sora and Riku's story. 1.5 Remix. View all of the Kingdom Hearts 358/2 days cutscenes, as well as all the journal entries. I have no idea why they changed the requirements off of the Game Boys, because I think they got it right there. It gives you an incentive to backtrack, and you're still early enough in the game where it's worth it. I mean, the only one I really don't like is the North American PS2, which forces you to play the game again. The others, at least you can see all these on the first playthrough. It just depends how sensitive to spoilers you are. If it's your first time through, I don't think you should play Kingdom Hearts 2 yet, and watching the 358/2 cutscenes is gonna leave you really confused. Maybe just like turn it on and go walk your dog or something.
Riku! What are you doing here?
Not happy to see me?
Quite literally out of nowhere, a wild Riku appears. And he is way more of a dick than he's ever been. Yeah, like, I thought we were cool last time we spoke.
Spare the excuses. I bet that you had all but forgotten about me.
Are you crazy? Come on, I came all this way looking for you.
But you're not anymore, right? Now it's only Shanmania that you're looking for.
This is the mystery of this second set of floors. Who is this man?
Riku's probably just forgotten that the two of you were such close friends. That's all.
While that would make sense given all the information we have up to this point, you are wrong, Gemini. This is actually a copy of the real Riku that the fanbase has coined Repliku, created by this man. We'll get to him. And he wants to fight us all the time, and he seems to think he has a connection with Shanmania, similar to Sora. Personally, I don't think it's as enticing as a lead as the remembering Shanmania hook. It's not bad, they do hold the information that this is a fake Riku from you for a while, but the reveal feels out of a different genre. Kingdom Hearts 1, we learned that hearts can body hop, but that was done in such a way where it was a really slow burn, and when we got to the reveal, it was very dramatic. Repliku here doesn't feel like he's progressing the lore and world building of Kingdom Hearts, but rather making it take a left turn.
That thing lying there is just a puppet that Vexen made as an experiment. No more than a toy.
We're introduced to some new faces of the organization. We have Vexen, the eccentric scientist and father of Repliku, as well as an unhooded mystery man.
Marluxia!
There's a bit of infighting about Vexen's Repliku constantly being bested by Sora, as well as who is higher on the corporate ladder.
In this organization, you're number 11. I'm number 4, and I will not have you!
I've been entrusted this castle and Shanmania by our leader. Defying me will be seen as treason against the organization.
Traitors are eliminated. I believe that's what the rules say.
It becomes clear that these three are planning something as Marluxia challenges Vexen to take on Sora to prove his loyalty.
You give a challenge like that to Vexen and he'll seriously want to eliminate Sora.
That would be an unfortunate denouement.
Denouement? This guy speaks French, he looks like he could be in a CoverGirl commercial. Once the hood is off, the threat level goes way down. We already know that even Axel is 2 steps ahead of him, and despite him being the leader of the castle, he is quite low on the pecking order for the organization as a whole.
Rejoice, Shanmania. The time is near for you to meet the hero that you've been longing for.
Why was that line kept in Recom, and why did they use that take? So anyway, Vexen comes to kill us, or eliminate, because we can't say kill in this game.
I am Vexen. I have come to collect your debt, Sora.
A debt? Sora, Do you owe something to this guy?
Now that's a great line. Donald and Goofy are written really well in this game. So we beat Vexen, who is definitely the hardest boss up to this point, and like clockwork he gives us a world card. But it's different from the others.
A card crafted from all the memories that are locked in the other side of your heart.
This world is not familiar to Sora or the player. Twilight Town. This is brand new. And it is such a great moment. Just when you thought the game was gonna squeeze out a deep jungle or into the world, it's a big subversion of expectations in more ways than one. We have original environment assets and music, plus the seed of a new mystery that will carry its way into KH2.
I'm sure I don't know this place, but it's starting to feel like it's familiar to me.
But most infamously, we have a second fight with Vexen. This is probably the single biggest difficulty bump in the game, especially on Recon, mostly because of how godlike the GBA dodge roll is. So off the bat, you'll notice you can't just throw normal Keyblade attacks at Vexen. He'll block them with his shield. GBA, you gotta attack from behind. Recon, you gotta use a slight or card break. You can't be as aggressive. The fight's about you reacting to what he's doing. But you can't play too passively because he has a mountain of health as well as all these high-valued cards. You need to be able to maintain pressure once you break through. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck with a huge reload time and he's gonna be throwing these big ol' slights at you, all of which can be avoided, which I appreciate. The timing is just pretty tight on him and it's hard to hit when you're already in a high pressure situation. This is the fight where I started leading my boss specific deck with zeros. I became comfortable with hovering in between my stack of zeros and normal attack cards. Cards on the right are for building slights and breaking into a combo, and on the left I have my zeros a button press away in case he whips up a slight. Sonic Blade is so good in both versions. Now, preparation is a massive part of this fight, but there is also execution. This is all easier said than done. You're not always going to have that zero ready. You might have to do some quick addition to make a slight to beat his. Vexen doesn't give you a lot of breathing room, and as the fight goes on, you're going to have to start just cobbling what you have together and hope it beats what he has. My deck was in absolute tatters by the end, and it felt great. I love this fight. Maybe the difficulty bump is a bit too steep, but at least you're justly rewarded in the scene after, at least the GBA version. So from a previous scene, we saw that Axel, Larxene, and Marluxia, they want to prevent Sora from finding out about this other side. They're scared that Vexen might let something slip, so Vexen must die. It's also a test to see if Axel is committed to the coup of taking over the organization.
We weren't sure if you actually had it in your bones to take out a fellow member.
So Axel pops up, and just before he does the deed, he uses the word nobody as a proper noun, might perk the ears up of those who read Ansem Report 13 in Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, and then he does it.
Don't! I don't want to!
Goodbye.
I think this is like a fan favorite scene, but it's never sat well with me. I just don't think Kingdom Hearts is the place to have a man beg for mercy and then be killed in such a nonchalant, jokey way. And the death is mild apart from him being on fire for a few seconds. It just feels a little edgy for the sake of being edgy. And the GBA version still definitely has some edge to it, but the murdering is handled with a little bit more gravitas. Axel doesn't say the goodbye line and comes off less like a psychopath and more as just cold.
What are you people?
Don't know. I wonder about that myself.
After yet another encounter with Repliku, our third, we see that he too has a lucky charm from Naminé, which he drops upon defeat, and when you look at that, it turns into a familiar looking world card. Donald also drops some wisdom. You and Riku have the same, seemingly new, memories, kind of alluding to the fact that they may be fabricated. Sora throws a hissy fit. How dare he talk about Namine like that? As a result, we do not see Donald or Goofy cards in the next world, which is, drumroll, Destiny Islands, by the way. We get to chat with our Final Fantasy friends for a little bit and re-experience that fateful night that kicked off Kingdom Hearts 1. But before we get to our old friend Darkside, you'll notice that room card requirements are starting to get really costly and specific. Oh yeah, and green room cards are just not obtainable from this floor onward. This might require you to leave and go to an earlier floor, which if you've already made some progress on unlocking these story doors, that is all lost and reset. This sucks so bad in GBA. I spent so much time grinding for room cards. It is better in Recom thanks to roulette rooms. These give you a chance to select a room card of your choosing from a slowly moving roulette wheel, so not a bad idea to always have one of these on hand. At the end of Destiny Islands awaits the worst dark side fight in the entire series. If you're playing GBA, it's not too bad on Recom. Big, slow, out-of-reach enemies just do not work with this combat system. There's so much downtime making the incrementing reload counter trivial. It just becomes a very slow game of play the higher valued card over the course of 12 minutes. Yeah, it took me 12 minutes to beat this boss. Maybe I was doing something wrong. Either way, I never want to do this fight again in my life. Once it goes down, we got a lot of spilt tea to go over. Thanks to Axel, who releases Naminé behind Marluxia's back, Sora is finally able to reunite with her. But it doesn't quite go how he pictured it would. Naminé explains that she is not and never has been Sora's girlfriend, and something about never existing in the first place. While this is mostly going over Sora's head, Repliku drops in to crash the party.
Your memory is a train wreck. You're not the one who's meant to protect Naminé. It's supposed to be me!
We put him down for the fourth and last time in a fight that's pretty difficult, but if you have made it this far, you should be able to handle him. And it ends in one of those tropey scenes in games where you win the fight, but you lose in the cutscene after.
Want some more?
Sora!
Looks like I win.
So we end up having to rely on Naminé to put him down.
I said stop!
Suddenly Larxene, and she drops the truth as Repliku's body is awkwardly in the middle of the hallway. Oh, never mind, she does have the decency to move him.
Don't you get it now? That's what Naminé's powers are about.
It wasn't Castle Oblivion that was modifying Sora, Donald, Goofy, Jiminy's, and Repliku's memories, but rather Naminé herself.
The girl you've been trying to protect all this time is really a manipulative witch who shackles people's hearts.
Okay, so it's revealed in a little bit that Naminé was doing this because she was being held against her will by Marluxia, so he could use Sora as a pawn to take over the organization. And Larxene was in on this too. Why is Larxene spilling all these beans?
I know it'll kill you to hear this, but I think I can live with that.
Can someone tell me why this woman wants to murder these children so badly?
More pain for you means more fun for me!
She's straight up a sadist, and I don't know how to feel about a character like her existing in the same game where I gotta play Simon Says with Tigger. Anyway, Donald and Goofy arrive just in the nick of time to help kill the Pikachu lady, and after, Naminé tells us she can repair our memories, but only on the 13th floor, which sets the stage for a final encounter with the castle's leader, Marluxia.
Maybe you could look after Riku? We'll come get you when it's over.
I cannot take that seriously. Like I said earlier, I've never been fully on board with the whole Repliku idea, but I do have to give the game props for not just forgetting him. He comes back in the Marluxia encounter with a more nuanced look about his existence.
Riku!
No. Just an imitation.
Not something I was expecting first time around, because before that, he mostly just felt like an excuse to rehash the Hollow Bastion fight with him from KH1.
Please be careful, Sora.
I'll be okay. I promise.
Alright, just one more floor and it's vanilla Castle Oblivion. Doors are expensive, enemies are tough, but at least we got Donald and Goofy back. And the game gives us the new DNG powered sleight Trinity Limit, which is a screen nuke, and it's fantastic for grinding. And don't get me wrong, I still think the card combat's great, it's just around the Destiny Islands point is where the random encounters start to wear on me a bit. It gets to be the same song and dance. I go in, I spam sleights for about a minute, profit. Trinity Limit alleviates some of the effort you gotta put forth, and this goes for a lot of other sleights. I mean, there's a ton I haven't even seen, especially in Recom. I tend to stick with what I know in terms of sleights, but I did experiment a little bit. Like this one's pretty cool. Raging Storm, Mega Flare. Actually, that one was a little bit underwhelming. It's always hard to justify room in the deck for these kind of sleights, especially for boss fights. Speaking of, we got one with Mr. Memorized right here.
Are you listening, Sora?
Oh?
Axel says He's willing to harm Naminé to get me.
Whoa, how did Naminé get here so fast? Marluxia is literally fighting Axel seconds before, and oh, I guess he is able to remotely teleport her? Which, by the way, that seems to be the biggest advantage to giving into the darkness, being able to teleport yourself and other people at will. It also lends itself to being very, very convenient for the plot. So at this point, everyone's mask is off, except for Axel, who's still sort of a wild card at this moment, no pun intended. He claims to have attacked Marluxia due to his loyalty to the organization.
That line's not you.
Big dialogue upgrade for Marluxia from GBA. Once we beat Axel, he claims to have saved Sora before teleporting away, wrapping up Axel's role in Chain of Memories, with plenty of loose threads still left hanging.
Saving me? What do you mean?
Sorry, I would hate to kill the suspense.
After, we finally get a meeting with the big boss, who right off the bat orders Naminé to wipe Sora's memories clean.
You can do that!
Great Donald line.
I'd rather have preferred him unmarred. But he can be rebuilt, more to my liking, with time.
Alright, this man needs to be put down. Naminé refuses to erase Sora's memories, and then Marluxia's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to kill you. This is also where Repliku shows up, not to help us, but to protect Naminé, it looks like. Which, to be fair, that's all he really has, even if the feelings weren't planted.
I don't need any memories to take on someone like Marluxia.
You would knowingly shackle your heart with a chain of memories born of lies?
Oh, that's why they call it that.
Marluxia and his big pink scythe make a really fun fight. In fact, all of these humanoid organization member boss fights are great. Game Boy or Recom, this is when I'm having the most fun playing Chain of Memories. Although, Marluxia here, he seems a bit easier than Axel was. That's because, bada bing, we got the JRPG staple of a multi-phase final boss fight with a bunch of symbolism that maybe was explained 10 years later in this mobile game? Just a taste of the Nomura to come, folks. So on the Game Boy, you got this crazy moving background, Marluxia's in this giant scythe mech. Theatrically, really cool. In practice, I think they're trying too hard. We're introduced to wind physics and platforming, kind of? At the end of the day, it succumbs to the same pitfalls that the Darkside fight did. Too much downtime, and I feel discouraged to use a lot of my slights here. Recom, this fight is completely revamped, for the better in my opinion. It's much faster, it feels more energetic, and they got rid of the whole jumping on the mech's back trope. And as an added bonus, there's one more phase. It takes place in like a Dyson sphere, and Marluxia is tethered to this angel of death. He can build and play sleights at the drop of a hat, and for his coolest trick, he can empty Sora's deck across the battlefield where you gotta go pick up all your cards again. This is such a great surprise to save for the very end, and it's the biggest like oh shit moment in the best kind of way. I don't see many people having trouble with these fights. Like, if you've made it this far, you have a deck that's more than capable of dealing with Marluxia.
Yes. So this is the heart of a hero.
With Marluxia gone, Naminé is now free to heal us, but not before we have a little pity party for Repliku.
All that's inside of me is time with you and Naminé. But I know those memories are not real.
The closer you look, the more messed up the whole Vexen making him situation is.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
And then he just leaves with, I guess, the intentions to become his own original person. Maybe he'll settle down and become a farmer, and we'll see him in Home on the Range world later.
Sora, you have a choice. You can lose your memories of this castle and reclaim your old ones, or keep your memories here and give up the memories that you've lost.
Do I have to choose?
Yes.
Yep, getting our memories isn't gonna be that simple. Sora must choose between reclaiming his old memories or keeping the new ones that he just made here in the castle. The big implication being that Sora will forget Naminé. He makes the sensible choice of reclaiming the old memories, which requires him to go into a comatose state in this pod while Naminé relinks them. It's kind of awkward for Namine to even propose the question. Given the choice, Sora would obviously choose Kairi, but at this point he has completely forgotten about Kairi, so kind of rude for Namine to even offer. But also, like, Namine doesn't have anybody else, we don't know anything about her origins, and nobody really asks. But don't worry, Sora and crew make a promise to come and find her. Jiminy even leaves a note for himself. Thank Namine. Yeah, good going, Jiminy. You'll definitely know what to do with that when you wake up from your coma. This is Jiminy's only responsibility on this team. He is the stenographer. This is his moment to shine, and he writes 2 words. It might have been a better idea to collaborate with Namine and get all of the information about the organization that they could, an organization that mysteriously knew a ton of stuff about Sora and tried to brainwash him, and is now missing like 5 guys. I said this was Jiminy's game at the start, but he just completely fumbles the bag here. That's fine, I'm sure none of our actions here will come back to bite us in future games. Sora gets in his pod and we begin the long wait for Kingdom Hearts 2.
Till then, I'll be in your heart.
Right. Forgotten, but not lost.
In Recom's credits, we get a stinger of 13 big white chairs with only about half filled with black coats. And right before, we have a quick look at Twilight Town with a bunch of kids walking around who we've never seen before, while the camera focuses on this blonde-haired kid. And of course, all the other bells and whistles you see in your favorite Tetsuya Nomura endings. Simple and clean, a bunch of ominous text, and a clear screen battle record if you're playing Recom. But we aren't quite done with Chain of Memories quite yet. Upon completing Sora's story, you unlock Riku's titled Reverse Rebirth. This follows the real Riku after the events of KH1, where he will spend his time battling his way up through Castle Oblivion's basement. How did he end up here after closing the door to Kingdom Hearts, aka the Realm of Darkness? Well, I suppose we're just gonna have to play to find out. But just before we do, a few addendums about this mode. First off, it's much shorter. Sora's story on GBA took me around 11 hours, while Recom took me around 35. I think a lot of that is just me leaving the game on, or just being bad and having to grind a lot. The point is, Riku's took me a fraction of the time compared to Sora's. 4 hours on GBA, 6 on Recom. But don't get it twisted, this isn't some bonus mode little dinky thing where you just play through Sora's story in a Riku skin. The gameplay has its own unique spin, canonical story things do happen, like events here will be followed up on in Kingdom Hearts 2. This is required reading, something you should start getting used to if you're just beginning to get into the series.
Where am I?
Stay asleep.
Who's there?
You should remain asleep. Here, between light and dark.
So we press start to see Riku wake up in this gray void. A bodiless voice starts talking to him and offers a card, calling it a door to the truth.
This seemed like a boring place to take a nap anyway.
That was very well said, Riku.
He's suddenly teleported to the basement of Castle Oblivion, 12 floors down. I was about to flip a tit and ask, where do you put a basement on a building that's on an Angel Island floating piece of land, but you put it right there.
A door to the truth, huh?
And we're off. Riku goes through every single world card that Sora did apart from the 100 Acre Wood, which sounds like a lot of work, but these are even more consolidated than Sora's. Apart from the first and last few, there are no text bubble cutscenes, and majority of them have the boss locked behind only one story door, which you can knock out pretty quick. You get in, kill Ursula, get out. But Shanmania, Riku didn't go to Atlantica in Kingdom Hearts 1. He only ever went to Hollow Bastion, Traverse Town, Monstro, and Neverland. And I'd respond to that by saying, you're right, majority of these worlds have no significance to Riku. It is nice to go to Hollow Bastion and get some more insight, like see Riku's room there and talk to, I guess, his memory of Maleficent, but everything in the middle of this card world sandwich is filler. Much like Sora's campaign, the important events happen in between floors, where we see some familiar faces from the organization as well as some new ones.
But the scent,
was very similar to that of the Superior.
These two are loyal to the organization, like Vexen, and trying to recruit Riku by encouraging him to give into his darkness.
I have identified the scent.
Also, everybody's smelling each other, and apparently darkness has a smell now. This was not a thing in KH1, I don't think it's been in any future games, and it wasn't even in Sora's campaign in this game.
What's that scent? It's so familiar. It's the smell of darkness. The darkness even seeped into my skin.
Ooh, like who wrote this? I think I remember hearing somewhere this was different in the original Japanese version, so it might just be a localization thing, but if it's not a literal translation, that just makes it more weird to me. And I don't know, smell is just one of those senses that's a little too intimate for something like this. It's weird that we're connecting it to this largely abstract idea in Kingdom Hearts, the one that is darkness, the thing that every bad guy in this game has a raging hard-on for.
I can't believe this is happening.
So, moving swiftly away from that topic, one of the bigger changes, and also one of the bigger time saves, is how Riku's combat deck is handled. Gone are the days of card points and spending hours in this menu fiddling around with your card order. It is now 100% streamlined because the game just decides what cards you get. Your deck will change floor to floor without warning. You do get to retain enemy cards of defeated bosses, but your normal, heartless enemy cards will change. Riku has one flavor of attack card and no magic. Sometimes you'll get item cards, usually during bosses. And it's not like your attack card values are getting higher the further you progress. They are just changing. Not randomly, they did put thought into these. For example, Olympus Coliseum, your deck is ordered sequentially, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 9, and then the rest are 1s. But looking at my enemy cards, I see I have a Power Wild, which has the retrograde effect, which reverses the value of all your cards for one reload, so 9s become 1s, 2s become 8s. It can be fun learning how to utilize these different decks. My biggest piece of advice is don't forget about the enemy cards. Just get in the habit of using one at the start of every single fight. They're there, they're free, and they make the game a lot less boring.
Why do you shun the darkness? Darkness is your weapon. Stop resisting. Accept the darkness. You have no choice. If you are to serve me again.
I thought it was you, Ansem.
Somehow he returned, and he wants to Palpatine Riku. At least I'm pretty sure this is the real Ansem, not like some Silent Hill figment of the imagination Ansem like I thought when I first played. He's back and he wants Riku on his team again.
You're crazy! Not a chance!
I'm not in love with Ansem coming back and Riku just being dropped in Castle Oblivion. Regardless of how the pieces were set, it is nice to see Riku get some direct comeuppance against the man who screwed him over last game. But it'll be a bit before we can actually take him on. For now, he's here to tutorialize us on Riku's 3 new abilities: Dark Mode, Rapid Break, and Card Duel, the latter 2 being exclusive to Recom. Dark Mode is going to be your bread and butter. This is a temporary state where Riku dons the hula skirt, your normal combos get stronger, your dodge leap gets a lot longer, and he has this homing in double jump. And you get access to slights, something normal Riku doesn't have at this point. So how do you enter Dark Mode? Well, you gotta break enemy cards. Upon winning a card break, the difference is added to your D points. Get 30 D points, you get to bust out the hula skirt. Now there's only a small handful of slights you have access to, but they're all pretty good. You probably recognize them from the Repliku boss fights. Recom adds 2 other features, Rapid Break and Card Duels. Rapid Break is simple enough. If Riku quickly breaks an enemy card, he gets a boost in attack. Card Duels are triggered when both parties play the same valued cards. And the game does prompt you before you actually do one. You can make it end in a wash like Sora's mode or GBA Riku's mode if you want to. But if you accept, we break the spotlights out and the player must break a sequence of cards in a specific time limit. Fail, Riku's back gives out for a bit. Succeed, and Riku gets a free ground pound shockwave attack. The timing is pretty tight on these. I found myself just mashing through my deck, especially when they came up in random encounters. Whereas in boss fights, where you gotta break up to 7, that usually doesn't work so well, and these can make or break the outcome of the fight. I love these abilities. They add a fresh coat of paint to Recom and help differentiate Riku's playthrough from Sora's. Riku actually has an incentive to win card breaks by as much as he can, where in Sora's you're more concerned with conserving your higher valued cards. And Riku isn't punished for reloading. It still takes time to shuffle your cards back, but you don't have that incrementing timer. He's kinda your glass cannon, being that we don't even have a way to heal yet.
Don't worry, Riku.
Your Majesty! Oh, what happened? I can see right through you.
Listen, Riku. Just because darkness holds you, don't let go of who you are. Even in the darkest darkness, there's always a little bit of light. The light of Kingdom Hearts. It will show you the way.
King Mickey becomes Riku's Donald and Goofy. It's a great decision, and while he's not physically there, he always seems to be busy in these games. We'll start seeing Mickey cards randomly appear in battles. He does everything Donald and Goofy wish they could do. He stuns the enemies, damages the enemies, heals Riku, and reloads your deck. You can even use his cards for this sleight in Recom, which is decent, I guess. So we do have healing. It's not super reliable, it's more of a safety net, which is why I suggest going to Halloween Town as soon as you can, because when you beat it, you get the Oogie Boogie card, and that gives Riku a regen effect. Again, don't forget to use the enemy cards in this mode.
You fight the darkness because it is what frightens you.
So what's the real significance of Riku going through Castle Oblivion? It's not the same as Sora's, he's not having his memories modified by Naminé. The game treats it as his atonement for all the bad stuff he did in KH1. He needs to overcome the ghosts of his past.
There really is darkness left inside of me. But so what? Darkness is my enemy. And so are you for reeking of that awful smell.
Oh, so it's a fight you want.
I actually really like Vexen. You can kind of read into it like an addict trying to rehabilitate himself, and it becomes apparent that Riku doesn't have the dark tendencies he once did. Okay, apart from when he murders Alexis here, it's more about him overcoming the shame of his past actions. This is most clearly outlined in his visit to Destiny Islands and his meeting with Zexion, the organization member with the most emo haircut.
Sora's fate is to battle the darkness. He must oppose anyone who hosts the dark. In other words, it's you.
He straight up gaslights Riku into making him think that all his friends are gonna hate him, going so far as to disguise himself as Sora.
Stop it, Sora! Don't you recognize me?
Yeah, I recognize you. I can see exactly what you've become.
He only realizes this after going into a daze and talking to Kairi for a bit.
Know that the darkness is there and don't give in. If you do that, you will gain strength. The kind that's unlike any other. Follow the darkness. It'll show you the way to your friends.
Can I face them?
You don't want to?
You know I do. Of course.
It's from here on out that, rather than cutting out darkness cold turkey, Riku decides to accept it. He is, as the game refers to it, walking the path in between light and dark. Now, looking at this metaphorically, on a surface level, it might come off like, oh, murder is bad, but assault is okay as long as you donate to charity afterwards. I think the intention behind this was more rooted in self-acceptance, acknowledging that this is who I am, and that I carry a history of past actions I'm not always proud of, but I've gained a lot of wisdom through those experiences, and I'm able to use what I've learned from them to make better decisions in the present. Or maybe this is just Nomura saying that murder is okay sometimes because Riku kills Zexion right after this. I'm sorry, he's actually just warping away here. He does die, but it's at the hands of Repliku on Axel's orders. Our two new basement-dwelling organization members really get the short end of the stick in this game. At least Lexi, I don't know how to pronounce his name. At least he gets a boss fight in both versions. And I'm so happy that he does because I wanted to see that giant nerf bat in action so bad. The Destiny Island Zexion fight is exclusive to Recom. And while I did completely wreck him, I do think it's one of the best fights in the game. after the Destiny Islands floor, we finally meet up with Mickey in the flesh. Don't know how he knew what floor we were on, but he's rocking this crazy Nomura getup. It's got the buckles, the zipper, kind of a Sonic Adventure Eggman vibe going on too with the big gold nipples. It makes me a little sad we can't see more Nomura outfit designs like this because like 90% of the cast just dons the black robes.
Your Majesty, is it you?
Uh-huh. Whoa! That tickles!
Oh, he's so funny.
This time, you're not an illusion. I'm so glad that you can make it here.
Even at its short runtime, Riku's story in Chain of Memories feels spread thin at points. Sure, we have expanded scenes that give us more context around Repliku, and words like superior and nobody being thrown around, setups for Kingdom Hearts 2, but this scene right here, it helps bring the focus back to Riku. It's such a perfect Kingdom Hearts moment. Riku has been alone, surrounded by people who want to take advantage of him, and in comes the best help he could have asked for. By no means is this game winning any awards when it comes to storytelling, especially script writing, but this moment hits for me. The friendly Disney characters, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, they represent the optimism of youth. Everybody needs to grow up, go out into the big, scary world, but it's important to not lose sight of that childlike optimism, because when you're at your lowest point, it can save you.
That's what let me find you. I guess the card thought its place was to be with you.
Oh, so that's how I knew what floor he was on. These cards are pretty good at filling in plot holes, Nomura. It's weird that they never show up in another game again. So a Twilight Town card appeared in front of Mickey in the Realm of Darkness, leading him to Riku. He gives it to Riku. We go to Twilight Town. But before we can do anything, suddenly Ansem. Unless...
You're not the true Ansem. Oh. The Ansem in my heart smells darker. The odor is more foul.
Oh, that's great.
Your scent just isn't that. It's not darkness. It's something else.
That is correct. "'Tis, or so I am known. I've watched you all along.
Is that Count Dooku I hear? Well, sorta. It's this one, not that one. Yet.
You are a special entity. You exist between light and dark. You stand in the twilight. You are to meet Naminé, then choose.
Naminé? Who's that?
You will know soon.
We don't learn much about Diz apart from his name in this game. Again, it's another tee-up for Kingdom Hearts 2. We know that he's had his eye on Riku, Mickey mentions that he might have met him before, and that he doesn't smell as bad as Ansem. He washes those belts on a full cycle every night. This might be the craziest Nomura costume design next to Nuge in FFX2. So we head off to the mansion to find Naminé, but not without one final encounter with Repliku, where the absolute hardest exchange is dropped.
Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says.
Somebody's typewriter was on fire when he wrote that. This fight's tough. Repliku's at his deadliest. He's faster than most organization members, and all of his slides hurt. Use Attack Bracer, use Second Chance, use Regen, and go extra hard when you get into dark mode. Don't be afraid to use those slides.
Time's up. Strong. Real thing. What happens when a fake dies? One like me. Where will my heart go? Does it disappear? It'll go somewhere. Maybe to the same place as mine. A faithful replica until the very end.
Actually, some good dialogue and a fitting end to Repliku.
That's okay.
We meet up with Naminé, and she gives us a choice while Sora incubates in the corner. She explains that she has the power to put a lock on the darkness inside Riku's heart. This would effectively kill what remains of Ansem. The catch is that he would need to undergo the same memory surgery that Sora's going through right now. They never specify how far he would need to go back. I'm assuming the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, which would be a lot, but he doesn't choose that. He is gonna fight Ansem head on with his dark past intact. It's also revealed that this was actually Naminé.
In the form of Kairi.
When'd you know?
I knew when I met you. You and Kairi smell the same.
Riku, please do not leave the conversation like that.
Look after Sora.
Alright, so the pieces are set. All that's left to do is to fight Ansem, but not before a quick powwow with Mickey and Diz.
Hey, who are you?
I could be nobody. Or anybody.
This dude is still not given any straight answers, but it sounds like he's against the organization, even giving Riku some robes of his own to hide from them.
This cloak that is worn by nobodies will render their eyes and their noses useless. They wear this to give themselves protection from being devoured by darkness. Is it clear? Even the organization cannot rule the darkness.
So, to Vanilla Castle Oblivion we go, and it's only like 3 rooms. The game's like, hey, we get it, you're probably tired of these, here's some rooms if you want to grind, just in case though.
I smell you, Ansem. Show yourself!
Why do you accept the darkness, but still refuse me?
The truth is, I just can't stand your foul stench.
Jesus. Alright, this is it. This fight has been 1.5 games in the making, and it's a doozy. Some people refer to it as the hardest fight in the game, as it's up there for me. Ansem has his stand back, a brand new arena, and his deck seems to be packed with nothing else besides 9s, 8s, and 0s. Good luck if you're playing this on Proud mode. Now, the game does stock you pretty well with cards. Not as good as it stocks him, but enough to be aggressive, which is the only strategy I found to work, both on Recom and GBA. Stock your cards, use your slights, try not to burn your 9s, 8s, and 7s, but also, I mean, if you need to, do it. This guy does not let you breathe. There is always going to be cards in the bottom middle. It's just going to be card break after card break, whether it's you or him doing it. And of course, zeros. Have your zeros ready, because he sure does. I kind of don't like how the game assumes people want their zeros behind the reload card. I played Sora's story with them at the front of the deck, and here I am with an extra card in between them and no option to change that. Kind of annoying, but I suppose I can press an extra button. This fight came down to absolute nail biters on both Recom and GBA. Just a really great boss to cap off the Chain of Memories experience.
Why do you refuse the darkness?
We slice him through the abdomen one more time. He vows he'll return, but at least for now, Billy Zane, Richard Epcar Ansem is gone. We have beaten Kingdom Hearts' Chain of Memories.
This is the end.
This has always been my favorite iteration of Riku. There's a certain trope in storytelling called there is no forgiveness. How it goes is when a good character does something bad, even if it wasn't entirely their fault, things will never be the same again. They cannot get 100% forgiveness. So while Riku isn't like killed or anything, he isn't 100% redeemed. He will always need to burden the sins of his past. And what I like about this story is that it frames that to where it can be a strength. Riku's character arc has landed, but it is landed somewhere completely different from where it started. This is a new Riku, and I love it.
What are you making me choose now?
Between the road to light and the road to darkness.
Neither suits me. I'm taking the middle road.
Do you mean the Twilight Road to Nightfall?
No. It's the road to dawn.
So, Riku, what happens next?
Isn't that question just this whole game encompassed in a sentence? Both campaigns open so many new questions and provide so few answers to questions we already had. What is the ultimate goal of the organization? What are Axel's plans? What's Naminé's connection with Kairi? Where's the lightsaber guy from KH1 Final Mix? But at the same time, the adventure feels kind of isolated, at least from a high level. We know that next game, Sora is gonna wake up remembering nothing and only have Jiminy's shitty little note. 2, and Riku is out of the realm of darkness and safe with Mickey now. But we ultimately spent his entire campaign tying up a loose end from KH1. Chain of Memories has earned the right to be called a sequel, but it's less concerned about progressing things forward than it is leaving the door to the next adventure slightly ajar. And that's a wrap on Chain of Memories and Chain of Memories. Had to play 4 RPGs for this video. 2 full-length RPGs, 2 light RPGs. So, you know, it was a lot of Chain of Memories, a lot of card battles. I'll always be a Chain of Memories defender, especially when it comes to the card battle system. So, you know, it was all time well spent. Thanks again for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please hit subscribe or any of those buttons. Leave a comment if I got something wrong. Again, I'm holding my tongue during these videos. There's comments in my Kingdom Hearts 1 video, you know, Rox is this, she owned that, Aqu with it. It's like, I know, I've played them. We're doing this as if it's, you know, our first time. You can spoil, I don't care if you spoil stuff. These games are years old. It's gonna be a bit until we get to Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm gonna, I think we're doing Ape Escape next, then the Crash PS1 spin-off game, so CTR, Crash Bash, and then we'll do 2. So it's gonna be a bit, but it's coming. Thanks again for watching. Tip your waitstaff and have a great rest of your night. And I'll see you in my next one.